There exists a subtle challenge that numerous individuals face today, although it is seldom articulated with clarity. The inability to be entirely present with an experience as it unfolds. A conversation is disrupted by notifications. A walk is accompanied by incessant input. Even moments of relaxation are frequently interspersed with stimulation, commentary, or distraction. Over time, this alters something more profound than mere attention span. It transforms the very quality of engagement. Life starts to feel perpetually interrupted. This interruption occurs not only externally but also internally. An individual may navigate through beautiful, significant, or intimate moments while remaining only partially engaged within them, not due to a lack of care, but because constant interference has become the norm. The more profound issue is not merely distraction. It is the gradual diminishment of uninterrupted experience. Human beings once encountered many facets of life directly and continuously. Thoughts were given time to develop. Conversations contained natural pauses. Experiences were permitted to settle into memory without immediate disruption. Now attention is consistently fragmented before an experience can fully deepen. And this fragmentation alters perception. The mind becomes conditioned to anticipate interruption. A moment of tranquility starts to feel incomplete unless it is accompanied by additional input. Even contemplation becomes infused with external noise. This condition is structurally reinforced. Digital systems are engineered around interruption because such interruptions maintain engagement. Economic systems incentivize responsiveness and availability. Cultural systems frequently equate stimulation with significance. The outcome is an environment where uninterrupted attention is becoming increasingly scarce. And because it is scarce, many individuals no longer recognize what is being forfeited. The loss extends beyond mere focus. It encompasses intimacy with the experience itself. When engagement becomes superficial and repeatedly interrupted, experiences cease to fully imprint on consciousness. A meal is eaten while the mind wanders elsewhere. A conversation is only partially heard. A landscape is captured in photographs more than it is truly experienced. Nothing seems dramatically amiss when viewed in isolation. However, as time passes, life can start to feel oddly insubstantial. This is not due to a lack of experiences, but rather because the sense of presence within those experiences has diminished. This leads to a subtle emotional impact. Individuals begin to seek out increasingly intense forms of stimulation, hoping to regain a sense of vitality that once came naturally from uninterrupted engagement. Yet, intensity cannot substitute for depth, and stimulation cannot replace genuine presence. The contemporary state of being is characterized not only by overstimulation, it also involves a lack of engagement with reality itself. To grasp the concept of engagement more profoundly, it is beneficial to distinguish it from mere attention. Attention can be scattered. Engagement, on the other hand, is immersive. It represents a state where perception, emotion, and awareness are unified within a single moment. A fully engaged experience possesses continuity. The self does not constantly detach from the moment to monitor, compare, document, or react to other stimuli. There are three subtle dimensions to this type of engagement. The first is uninterrupted presence. Presence is frequently misinterpreted as passive awareness. However, true presence involves active participation in the experience. It is the readiness to remain with reality long enough for its more subtle aspects to surface. Most significant experiences unfold gradually. A conversation deepens as time progresses. Silence becomes noticeable once restlessness has subsided. Beauty often reveals itself slowly rather than instantaneously. Continuous distractions hinder this unfolding process. The experience remains superficial because attention does not linger long enough to transcend initial impressions. Uninterrupted presence reinstates depth by permitting the experience to complete itself internally. The second dimension pertains to perpetual sensitivity. When attention is perpetually stimulated, perception tends to become dulled. The mind adjusts to elevated levels of novelty and starts to demand stronger signals to maintain engagement. However, numerous valuable elements of life are subtle: nuance, atmosphere, emotional subtlety, the sensation of authentic connection during a mundane conversation. These experiences necessitate sensitivity rather than intensity. Moreover, sensitivity develops through sustained engagement with reality instead of continuous interruptions from it. Over time, uninterrupted engagement sharpens perception. The world starts to feel less informational and more experiential, less consumed, more inhabited. The third dimension is existential continuity. Contemporary life frequently fragments consciousness. A portion of the mind remains in the present moment, while another part anticipates, evaluates, documents, or escapes it. This results in a subtle disconnection from existence itself. A person may be physically present, yet psychologically elsewhere. Existential continuity is the sensation of being internally unified within a moment rather than scattered across various mental locations. This continuity fosters calmness naturally, not because external circumstances become ideal, but because consciousness is no longer perpetually dividing itself from experience. These three dimensions, uninterrupted presence, perceptual sensitivity, and existential continuity, transform the texture of life in subtle ways. Ordinary moments begin to carry greater depth. Experiences become more memorable as they are more fully inhabited. The mind becomes less reliant on constant novelty, since engagement itself cultivates richness. And perhaps most significantly, life regains a sense of directness. Experience no longer feels endlessly mediated by interruptions, commentary, or reactions. It feels lived. This is significant because human fulfillment is influenced not only by external events, but also by how deeply reality is experienced as it unfolds. A fragmented existence may encompass remarkable occurrences, yet still feel emotionally detached. Conversely, a life filled with engagement can include mundane moments and still evoke a profound sense of aliveness. This is where engagement starts to emerge as a modern form of luxury. Not luxury in terms of excess, but rather luxury as an uninterrupted experience. The luxury of being entirely present in a conversation without divided focus. The luxury of navigating the world free from constant cognitive distractions. The luxury of allowing a moment to remain whole without hastily transforming it into content, information, or stimulation. These circumstances are becoming increasingly scarce. Not due to a lack of appreciation, but because the environment around us persistently competes against them. Attention has become one of the most fiercely contested aspects of contemporary life. And where attention is perpetually drawn away, uninterrupted engagement transforms into a form of inner freedom. There is also a luxury found in perceptual refinement, to rediscover subtleties once more, to appreciate quiet forms of beauty without the need for intensity, to feel emotionally fulfilled by the ordinary aspects of life as presence within it has deepened. This contrasts sharply with the prevailing cultural tempo of acceleration. Contemporary luxury may not be about the abundance of experiences, but rather the ability to engage with the present moment without interruptions. A fragmented experience can diminish one's sense of being alive, while reduced craving for stimulation allows ordinary moments to regain their significance. As attention becomes less scattered, life can be embraced more fully, emphasizing that the richness of life is shaped by our presence in each moment. In a world of constant distraction, reconnecting with life without constant interference is deeply rejuvenating.